Welcome, friends, to the Beaver Dam and to this damn fine discussion. We're gonna have a damn good time, and we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. We have cool new backgrounds. His is all blurry. Mine's Emperor's Throne Room because I lost a bed, essentially. It's good to be here. So, how are you doing, Lumar?
Doing good, doing good. Just got off a busy weekend, but am excited to be here to talk about some nerdy Star Wars, and let's hope Dr. Dre lives up to the hype as of this recording.
Whoa, 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 whoa. We are not nerds. We are the jocks of Galaxy of Hero.
That's right. Square up, guys. I'm only losing because of Leviathan. Come at me. Meet me in Kyber 3.
Oh, dude. The shit meta. Oh, don't remind
We're gonna
me.
get into it, guys.
We'll get into it.
Another year, another conquest. I hope everybody's getting along with their best girl Batcher and their raid changes that came like way too late. But yeah, let's break into what's happened since we last did Damp discussion. We have, I mean, the big thing to start off with, and I think Beaver, you even did a collab video not too long ago talking about the disappointment for this era. I mean, let's crack it open. Give it to us straight, Beaver.
CG dropped the ball. He just did. Like 7 different ways in this month. They just kept dropping like episode pass, drop the ball. It's not set up correctly for the first couple of levels. You know, Bad Batch characters are just reruns of old characters that we already have plus Batcher. Like we don't get any new cool characters from
dare
season
you.
3.
We have Crosshair finally.
Yay!
I know.
It's the crappiest version of him. Why couldn't I get a season 2 Crosshair? Like, that was my favorite part of season 2. Like, but yeah. And then, like, you know, they canceled the event, which was really weird.
On the event Discord, not the official Discord, from a random message from Meathead. It's like, I'm amazed about how people find out about news on this game. It's ridiculous. I've never seen an official game deliver things sometimes the way that CG does. It blows my mind. But it's also kind of funny. So here's to the memes, I guess.
It feels less like we actually get news and more like 90% of what we get is just leaked information.
The data, yeah, I think it's said throughout the community. The data miners are the real news release. I trust the data mine. It's the only game where I will trust the data mine with more than just a grain of salt. Like it's probably going to happen, you know. But yeah,
really quick, I do want to ask you when it comes to this Bad Batch shenanigans. What it was? Did you watch season 3 of Bad Batch? I should probably make sure you have.
None.
You haven't.
0.
Dang.
I have heard the Palpatine speech. I have gotten cliff notes of some stuff about Bad Batch, but all I know about Omega is she's a force sensitive, weird offshoot clone that doesn't have the aging factor. It's literally all I know.
I called the force sensitive thing in the first episode. She sits there and they're like, oh, she has higher senses like Hunter. And I'm like, there's got to be something different. And then she goes, they're already here. And then the door opens and Crosshair walks in. And I was like, bruh, she's force sensitive. Anyways.
Actually, I called it. I just got like tinfoil hat there. We got to get you a tinfoil Beaver hat.
Yes. Anyways, I was gonna ask you what character from season 3 you would have wanted to see, but obviously you haven't seen it, so
yeah, I know.
I think
Harry Asajj, as some of the community has called it. Or I just want the bounty hunter Asajj, you know.
Yeah, any version of Asajj would be nice. I think we've been wanting that for a long time.
I like the reskin they did for the Asajj. It looks decent. It looks better than what it was. Just fix Jyn at some point, please. She looks atrocious. But
when's our cup rework coming? You know,
I'm waiting. Just like a Gaborian Guard and his touch up made him so useful. His Omicron. Just like your phalanx. Anyway.
Hey, that's a good Omicron.
if someone paid you for it.
Fair.
So speaking of phalanx, guys, where's the raid? Wait, like,
Yeah.
guys, where? Oh, we had raid changes.
Yeah. Like
6 months later.
I don't
4
know. It
months
feels
later?
kind
How
of
many
like
months is it?
that scene in Incredibles where he's like, "I'm sorry," is like too late. 15 years too late.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
I was
know.
thinking Titanic. It's been 84 years. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I don't know, like out of the blue, changing stuff with the raid, saying we didn't have time for the event for Bad Batch. I made a video about this. The raid's got to be delayed. Like we haven't heard any
No other way.
news. And like you remember in Conquest when they like put the Naboo raid in Conquest, right?
Yeah, the B1s.
Yeah, and like they in Leia's event they had the speeder bikes. Like they tested out the base mechanics of these raids before they came into the game, and they really haven't done that at all. Like even if you look at
safe cadence, you know.
Yeah, you look at like people are talking about Peridia raid, and they're like, oh, but Peridia's in the game with like Ahsoka and with the Paw Patrol, but like there's no new mechanics in either of those events. It's all super basic
Backgrounds. Yeah, just new backgrounds, new art.
So unless they're, I don't know, just
zombie hordes.
Yeah, and they're just reusing basically what the Naboo raid is, but it's zombie hordes. I don't know.
I mean, they could blow us away. I mean, I was pleasantly shocked with Crate Dragon. Obviously, I really wasn't happy with the Java exclusive incentive and you know, the way they did those cadences, but I mean, they have to make money, and one of the ways they do that is pushing the new raid and the new teams that come with that raid. It just remains to be seen if Bad Batch is going to be worth it. If they're saying they're not doing the event, I think the majority of people are going to skip it, and they're either going to use them in the new raid, in which case everyone's going to be pissed off, or they're going to do it for the next era, is my guess, and they'll announce it with the era. At least that's their intention, so that people have a reason to go for it. I mean, they've at least been that transparent with, hey guys, we're gonna release Jill Ahsoka ahead of time. Now, did they take forever to do it? Yes, but at least they told us in advance.
Do you, speaking of the new era, do you think it's going to be Star Wars Episode 3? Do you have another bet going on? Like,
I don't. I mean, I think it's between that or it's the which sequel trilogy movie anniversary?
Episode 7 it's the 10-year anniversary of Episode 7.
Yeah, which I feel like Dark Side Vision Ray doesn't happen in Episode 7, but I feel like she might be the only sequel trilogy content we get this year. So my guess is actually more on par with Episode 3 content. Just because unless they do another Ray unit or they bring out some other resistance, like a general Leia Organa resistance or something, and use leftover resistance to make another team for some reason, or maybe a new unit for First Order again to make Phasma troopers something. I just don't see any more sequel. I mean, unless Snook somehow steals the show, but becomes Bane Jr. I don't know.
We could see a Snoke coming in as a Sith Eternal Lifter. I think a lot of people are more hoping for the Plagueist Sith Eternal Lifter from spoilers, the show
Acolyte.
that no one ever watched, Acolyte.
Yeah.
But
I finished that. We're gonna talk about that in the later half, but yeah, I finished Acolyte.
Very cool.
Finally.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit. We have quite a few things to talk about in that spot too.
For sure. We can go on.
Yeah, Star Wars Episode 3 though. You said 7 being the 10-year anniversary. I do think that if they do it, they're gonna wait till the end of the year. Because Star Wars Episode 3, all of the original Star Wars movies, they all came out in May. And then when the sequel started coming out, they started coming out in December. And so the 10-year anniversary isn't until December of this year. And so I think we could see it later in the year if we are going to get more sequel content.
Yeah, I can see it if they're trying to tie it more closely. I mean, at the same time, they could just do it at a different time, because I feel like the anniversaries are always good, but the month of May is always amazing for this game. Don't get me wrong, I like it when they do stuff at the same time, but depending on how tight they are, and they're already sounding really behind and really tight this year, they might just kind of smear stuff kind of thinner this year. You know, I don't know what struggles they're having, but it seems to be drastic for them. At least it feels that way coming into the new year so far.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like a lack of people. Like maybe they need to hire some more developers over at CG or something.
Yeah,
because like, I mean, with the Lightspeed bundles and everything, they've made a significant like increase in
monetary.
Yeah, so like they can definitely afford to hire more people, and they're taking on this whole era system. And you know, I don't think anyone's scared that the game's going to shut down anytime soon. The best way to look at any game and be like, is this game doing well monetarily, is just looking at, have they changed anything that's like quality of life or free to play? And if that's true, then I think it's in a good spot, and we've gotten a ton of that type of stuff in the last couple of years.
I think a lot of it comes down to, for a lot of companies, is their end of the year report usually comes around this time, or like end of January, and it tends to be the like closing remarks, or it's when your budget's the thinnest. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a big jump in activity over the next quarter. I really hope so. But yeah, no, I know that they made millions of dollars this year. They've had to. This game isn't going anywhere. As long as it's making that much money, it's just a matter of what's going to come out this year. I'm not worried about a shutdown. But overall, Episode Pass, yes, it's been rough, but I think the change overall, if you're willing to spend the $20 a month, is an amazing set of value. I think it's definitely pulled me away from a lot more of the whaley habits of just buy $20, you get all your Omicrons, you get everything you need, you get plenty of excess materials. It's such a good deal. I don't feel the need to like buy the extra signal data packs or buy the extra content. And the same thing with the raid. I think it's I got max score on rank 9 quad trio for the first time, just because even with the best mods in my roster, I just couldn't eke it out in the old system, but now I can. So it feels great.
I can now full auto the just regular like Lightspeed bundle Jedi. Like, I'm loving the raid changes.
I'm even seeing some people do a trio of Luminara on auto. It's crazy. That's
interesting, huh?
Yeah, and then they take the better Jedi from that team and then put them on the Quebec team, which is interesting. Yeah,
very interesting.
But yeah, all that aside, I mean, me personally, I'm kind of happy that the first era of the year is not one I really need to worry about. I need time to breathe.
Yeah.
Lightspeed bundles have, first world problems. I bought all the Lightspeed bundles over the holidays. If I wasn't in a Zeta crunch before, I've gotten 3 GLs in the past 2 months. I'm beyond Zeta starved. I don't know what's worse. Beyond debt, maybe Zeta bankruptcy. I don't know.
I think you mean Zeta average American. I think that's how you say it.
Oh yeah.
Because we do love our debt here in this country.
That's too real. That's way too real. Yeah, but overall, like, I'm glad to take a step back and not have to worry so much about new characters, especially since I wailed on Valen. Not regretting that one bit. Glat can wait.
Yeah, wailing on Glat for the content, and then finding out her event is so easy that there's no reason to do a guide. Felt great.
That and between Leia and SLKR or Dr. Dre, she's not that great on defense. As long as you can bring a couple GLs with you.
To be fair, if they actually go and fix her kit, she's gonna be a nightmare. Like,
one of our 7 problems. Anyway.
Like,
speaking of Dr. Dre, as of this recording, it is day 1 unlock, so we don't have any like crazy stuff to deliver you guys right off here on the bat. So we'll leave that to I think Beaver by this recording. We'll have some already instant videos and streams to kind of show her off. I know content creators are probably chomping at the bit there, but I've already got a 1 Omicron, 1 Zeta, and already at Relic 5, which is crazy for me to have a day 1 unlock go to Relics. But so far it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm still working through all the stuff that I agreed to for the Damathon. Um, Speaking of, fun fact, this is our last recording where we'll have the mutton chops. I am going to be shaving those off tonight. That's going to be great. It's funny because all of my coworkers think it's normal and they have zero problems with it. But anyone that I actually know, like for my life, is like, you look
They're like,
ridiculous.
yeah,
Yeah. But
right.
as part of that, I have to relic 9 Dr. Dre, and so later
That's
today,
right.
I'm going to be going on stream and relicing Dr. Dre
Uh,
as of this recording. So, it probably happened 5 days ago from where you're
yeah.
looking. But
I'm just surprised after Glat you have any droid brains.
dude, I have so many. That's why I keep telling people, I'm like, you don't need to go for like, the Queen's Men and Imperial Remnant early, because like I have 4 Relic 9s still sitting around. Like, you don't need that many Relic 9s, and I don't have like any of the Relic 9s for those 2 farms. And so it's just like, yeah, you're gonna naturally get Relic 9s as you get farther and farther in the game. Just make sure that you're going to guilds that fit your account, and you're gonna get Relic 9.
It's true. It's true. I think I have enough for 6. I have enough
Yeah.
droid brains for 6 R9s, but I haven't done an R9 in forever, which I'll probably do. I need to do Leia, and then I'm just gonna go do probably Leviathan, which is painful in its own right. But
Fair.
I'll probably do Malgus just to really capstone on the FU Sith Empire squad.
Oh, I definitely want to bring up a lot of relic levels inside that Sith Empire just for the sake of the fleet when I level it up. But we'll see.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll see. But yeah, so yeah, new era episode 3. I hope so. I hope so. I hope it's the next one. But if not, it'll probably have to be something to fill us until we get to May, right? Because each era is, remind me, 3 months.
3 months, which that means this era we're currently in will end in
March,
and
April.
so then April, May will be during the next era. So May will be during the next era.
So it'd have to be the next one, really.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It would make sense. I mean, it definitely would make sense. I think having a slow start to the year, I think it would definitely help. I wouldn't be mad. And probably Lightspeed bundles are probably going to come back, because that seems to be when they're doing it. It's going to be 2 times a year. It's going to be May, and it's going to be Christmas, it looks like. That tends to
with
be
like
when they're shooting
a
them
few
out.
smatterings of new ones
sprinkled.
every once in a while.
For sure. But we'll see. We won't hold our breath for that. But on that note, we have a guild shout out to do.
Yes, we do have a guild shout out. It's going to be TCE Outlaws. It's a casual guild within the TCE Alliance. If you want to consider joining it, there will be a link to their Discord as well as a link to their overall guild, so you can take a look at it for yourself. It is about 100 million right now, and it's for new and returning players. Kind of that area of early to mid game, getting back into things and that type of stuff. So if you're looking for a new home and you want a casual group of good people, it's a good place to start, so go check that out.
Awesome. Yeah, go check them out, guys, in the description. So this is part of our lovely discussion where we want to highlight a character, usually, and kind of talk about different things about the character. But this time we have something a little different in mind. We've got a recent Lightspeed bundle, a very niche, very narrow scope of the game, but yet one of the most iconic. When I think of Star Wars in general, is we got Jawas, guys. Beaver, you wanna take us away here and show us your beautiful Jawas?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't even have that good at Jawas, but this was one of my favorite things of like all the Lightspeed bundles. I love the Lightspeed bundles that give me something that I want to farm, but I normally can't justify it.
Yeah.
And Jawas have been the top of that list. Jawas have been a PP for me, a passion project, for as long as I've been playing this game, and I just never could justify it. When the Crate Dragon raid was around, I started farming them up just because I was like, it's a passion project. I can justify it. And then the raid, cadence was announced, and I was like, oh, I guess never mind.
Too late. Yeah.
And so I'm so glad I have these characters. They're awesome. I really do love them. And we usually talk about best mods, best Zetas, best team comp, that type of thing. This is going to be a little of an interesting one on all accounts. For mods primarily, you're looking at just like my mods are going to be garbage. This is like I threw on basically
Oh, I
what
don't
I
even have
had.
mods on mine, to be
Dude,
completely honest.
to be fair, I mean, you can throw like, just whatever mods you happen to have. You can auto assign and you can still take out geos with this team. I've been yeah, my roommate just did it the other day and it made me giggle. I love watching that happen because there's just so many detonators get applied. But yeah, the mods are basically just speed and durability. That's all you're kind of looking for, is you're trying to survive for as long as possible. It's not something insane. If you follow swago.gg, you'll see a little bit of weird modding. I think just going for the beefiness is really what matters, because you're not looking for damage, you're not looking for anything else. You're just looking for the enemy to die off
Lots
to
of
whatever
thermals.
you're doing. Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
and I think the Zetas definitely help a ton on this team.
Oh yeah,
in the sense of this team has no Zeta, which is great.
perfect for all those Zeta average Americans like myself.
Yes, yeah. Straight debt, and hey, this helps with that. We can just, throw some Omegas and call it a day, except for that one person that every time I mention the Zeta debt immediately puts in the comment section, by the way, I'm just in Omega debt and I have 0 Zeta debt. And I'm like, okay. First world problems, we get it.
Yeah, for real. And then you've got all the funny Jawa comps that I've heard of but never got to use myself. I think back in the days of Rink or Raid, I heard of the myth, the legend, Rayleigh Jawas.
Yeah. It was one of the highest damaging teams for one of the tiers in the original raid, where you'd get Relic 8 materials, and it was wild. And like, I loved the idea, the theory crafting that went into it, but like, it was such a niche use, and no, you should not be using Ray with Jawas. Please don't.
Yeah, I think arguably when it comes to Jabas, Nebbit, Chief Nebbit is the way to go. I mean, none of the leads are spectacular. I mean, they're the era of I'm gonna die, and I mean, even SLKR sometimes you kind of laugh at how short his lead is for being a GL. But I think the other one of note is anything with thermal detonators is kind of interesting to synergize. So like Bosch Leia, I know.
Yeah, that one's actually one that I've found surprising. It helps a lot in like geos and stuff. I've had my geos be destroyed by like a gear 10 Jawa squad with a gear 8 Bosch Leia before. Like, it's not one that you really expect, but like even Arnold, when he was initially doing testing for Bosch Leia when she came out, was like labeled his video the Queen of the Jawas, because basically every time an enemy takes a turn, if they have a thermal detonator, they add another one on, and then she can blow up all of the thermal detonators with an ability and then reapply one set, and then it'll keep going like that. Like, it has some synergy there. It's not going to be like the craziest thing in the world, but I've seen it do some funny stuff to those pesky attack out of turn teams. So
it definitely is the epitome of a fun team, not anywhere near a meta team, because it's just about what can I get away with instead of like trying to be the most efficient, most elite. You're like, oh, you put geos on defense? Like, hey, watch me throw this meme at you real quick.
Yeah, it's not gonna be pretty banners, but I don't care. I'm gonna have my fun.
Exactly. The true goal of GAC, guys, don't remember, it's actually to have fun.
Is that how you're supposed to play this game?
Last I checked, but the Sweat Lords and Kyber One will definitely shout at me in the comments for that one. But I think that's enough about Jawas.
Oh, come on, you're not even gonna mention the last comp? How dare you?
No, we don't want to talk about Padme. Courage and thermal detonators. I don't understand it. Help me understand it. It's because they're light side, right?
It's basically two reasons. The first reason is that people can't lose or gain turn meter. So that means that like geos and things like that can't reduce your turn meter, and that's huge. That's super helpful. And then the other part is just the lead gives 50% max health. Like, that's it, because the courage doesn't work for anyone that's not Galactic Republic.
Oh, so, you're right, it doesn't.
Yeah, so it's all about just giving them some extra beefiness and stopping them from losing turn meter, and that's it. So yeah,
debatable. Who
Yeah.
would you drop, Beaver, for Padme? Which
Ooh.
Jawa?
I actually don't remember what's the normal one.
I
Whatever
just
you
thought I'd
do,
throw
make
you a
sure you have
curveball.
scavenger on there. That's
Yeah,
like
Scav is the
the
heart.
go-to rule is you have to have scavenger, otherwise the team doesn't actually exist. Like it's
That's
not about the
true.
leadership ability, it's about the unique on Jawa scavenger. So
Fair. That's totally fair. Well, I mean, we're talking like 7-year-old content. I mean, I don't
yeah.
expect you to remember that. No worries, no worries. So on to what is arguably my favorite segment every time we do this. It's guys, fix your damn rosters. This time around, we didn't do the multi-point. We wanted to focus on a lovely new acronym that Beaver just loves coming up with crap. So Beaver, would you like to talk about your crap real quick?
Yes, let's talk about crap. We talked about this in a recent video, and I just want to reiterate it. The video I made was about what are you supposed to do after you finish Jabba, and honestly, I think this kind of goes for most people. Is like they're heading into the Rebel Trinity, they're getting some of their fourth, fifth GLs, that kind of area. And what do you do next? You farm up some crap. So first things first, you clean up your roster. If you have a couple GLs, you have a GL ship, and you're in a good spot, I'm sure you have a Captain Rex, a Zori, if you have Lightspeed bundles, or maybe it's a Sith Empire team or an Imperial Trooper team that you've just been sleeping on, that you have partially done. Yeah.
Bill,
One day,
they're all
one
relic
day.
now. I have one Zeta now on PN.
I'm
Now
so
I just need the
proud of
Beers
you.
one.
Dude, that would be such a good time too. The
I
25%
know.
turn meter one with like the Piet Cron. I've been having so much fun. I just killed a Star
I need
Killer
to get
team
that
with a
one.
Star Killer Cron with that. It was great.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, so clean up. I'm sure there's stuff to clean up in your roster.
Maybe a
100%.
Marin
Yeah.
from Night Sisters, and you went and got JKCK. You have Gear 12 sitting
Yep.
around.
Exactly. Or you got the Night Sister bundle. You don't have a Marin at all. Go get the Marin. So, next up is setting yourself up for success. This is something that I think a lot of mid gamers need to do, is setting up yourself for success with getting resources. So that is the R in the crap. Putting that R in the crap is resources. So like, getting your Paw Patrol, getting your Zepho ready and Mando ready for your guild. Basically getting into those things that are going to be returns constantly, that are going to be giving you huge boosts to your gameplay. I got into a Mando ready guild that was also Zepho ready, and I haven't needed Chirotech since. I literally have not needed Chirotech in months, and it's been amazing. So trying to get those return on investment farms is insane.
And don't feel like you have to go for the Relic 9 tier, guys. I mean, if I'm being honest, Relic 7 is probably the best bang for buck. Quadme for the raid stuff. Yeah, I did R9, but that's because I could afford it. And I knew that I was going to get my return on investment before I needed more Relic 9s. Now I'm swimming, but I'm at that point in the game. Relic 7 is completely feasible for I think most assault battles to get those resources. And yeah, and dude, Jabba. I mean, people have been preaching it. You've been preaching it up and down for the past year, and now that I've got Smuggler's Run on auto, wow. But Paw Patrol too, man. Paw Patrol's mod material tier is crazy good. It's almost as good as the Smuggler's Run.
The one difference between Paw Patrol and the Smuggler's Run, of course, is 3 times a month versus once a month. But it's still super nice to have both of those flooding into your account. 100%.
It's like getting 4 runs of it a month instead of 3. So it's like that extra bit. I know I'll eventually do R9, but that's like way down the line.
At some point I'll do it. I'm thinking about doing it more sooner rather than later, because I'm in this phase of I just want resources right now, and Leviathan. I have basically everything else. Oh gosh, Leviathan. One of these days, dude. But, it's like the Inquisitors. It's so hard to farm.
We're talking about Jabba. Guys, make sure you are finishing your Trinity. Part of the Trinity, it's not just Jabba, JML, and Leia. Don't forget your Profundity. Don't forget your Executor. And don't forget your what's the third what's the other part? I think Arnold even did a little bit of the extra stuff. I think you have to get Jake Kale anyway. So, but yeah,
Hmm.
don't forget those extra things that Jabba's already leading you to Executor. Leia and JML are already leading you into Profundity. 2 out of 3 GL ships is nothing to scoff at, because by the time you're done with Rebel Trinity and you got 2 GL ships, you're well in mid game, getting close to the end game. So it's almost probably time to look at Leviathan anyway, unless you're locked out due to Proving Grounds, which that's a rough couple of years ahead of you. But yeah, don't forget to finish that Trinity, guys. And most important part of crap, Beaver, tell me your favorite part of crap.
Oh yeah, the favorite part of crapping is the pee-pee.
We are officially 5 years old. Anyway,
I mean, to be fair, every time I go crap, I also pee-pee. Anyway. Yeah, every time I go to clean up, get resources, acquire the Trinity, and do passion projects, I have to do that pee-pee part, you know? Yeah, that's what I'm referring to, nothing else. I'm not 5 years old.
It's a cleanser.
Yeah.
It's a cleanser. Yeah.
Yeah, so doing those passion projects is important for any part of the game, but it's definitely like once you get some good stuff into your roster, don't neglect your PPs. They're so important. Like going and getting gas for me was, not something that necessarily helped my account that much, but it was so much fun because I love the character, I love the clones, and I wanted to do it for myself, and I did. Yeah. And I haven't regretted it since. So.
Totally. And I think something more referring back to the cleanup is like just finish your teams. I think especially with GL teams where it's like Leia, it's like don't forget to finish investing in all those Zetas, because there's a lot of extra Zetas for Leia between R2, Drogon, Old Ben if you're going to use them there instead of Starkiller, which I know I definitely am. And a lot of those characters aren't high relics yet, so it's like, hey, go back and get them all relic 7, relic 8. So that you can go use them in TV and you have those better success races. I know for me, I've left a ton of First Order at Relic 5, and I've just been kind of piecemealing my SLKR teams in certain comps versus now with Dr. Dre and kind of return to full First Order again. I'm like, oh man, I can't even use Hux in certain things because I need to relic him up more. Because Relic 5's been fine for years, and that's not a horrible thing. But yeah, don't be afraid to finish your GLs, get that extra 10%. It really matters, especially on these newer, more meta squads. You can't necessarily take shortcuts too much. So just want to add that to the C in our crap.
Over here, Lumar putting the C in crap.
I'm putting the C in crap. Speaking of, well, no, this is a lot nicer than crap. We have a member question. So I think we've talked about it before, but I think it's worth mentioning again is territory wars. So we have a question from Heratran. What do you think are some changes that would be good for TW revamp? And I know this opens a can of worms for probably anybody who's been playing this game more than a couple of years. It's that TW is super stale. But Beaver, yeah, what are your thoughts when it comes to trying to make TW more enjoyable?
I think that one of the biggest problems is that the upper echelons have this whole like, we make sure that no one has any data in territory war so we can maintain this secret meta kind of thing, and I think it's really dumb. I think that needs to end in general. But as for like revamping territory war, we got to get better rewards. I think that's the biggest thing. And honestly, with what Meathead said, this obviously he says a lot of things. He's the biggest leaker in Galaxy of Heroes. He mentioned a PvEVP mode, a player versus environment versus player mode, and if they are working on that like he was insinuating, I would assume it would replace territory war and be something that would be a little bit more enjoyable for people. I think a lot of the hardcore territory war fans will be really upset, but a lot of the general player base will enjoy it more, especially if it has better rewards. Regardless, I think it's just better rewards is what's necessary.
Yeah, I think something akin to those territory battle fights like on Geonosis, where you're facing the Beast, but also you have the Geos and the Separatists on the other side. Something with an enemy squad that represents the PvP, or maybe it's just comparing scores and you're not facing PvP at all, and then some kind of PvE element like a modifier or exclusive units or units that give bonuses in certain areas, maybe different planets. Doing, maybe just reusing some of those TB assets to our advantage. I mean, we have so much art and so many backgrounds that have been added over the years that I think could be incorporated into a fun mode, so that territory where people still get their Omicrons active in this new game mode, while also just making it more fun overall. But yeah, more rewards. I totally agree. I think, don't get me wrong, I'm never going to be mad at a couple extra Zetas in my pocket, but I'm when you get to this point in the game when you're like, it's just a matter of time until I get these materials, it just doesn't feel the same oof as when it was exclusive. Yes, the old Battlefront 2 map.
I would love to have like
of my childhood,
a galactic conquest style, like you take planets back and forth from each other throughout the week. Like even if it's like just kind of territory battle-esque where you're trying to get like stars and that type of thing, and you're trying to conquer more of the galaxy than the opposing guild you're going up against throughout the week, I think would be really, really cool. So I don't know.
Something score-wise rather than just directly how many teams versus how many teams. I think it'd be a way more fun way to look at it. I mean, sky's the limit. If it was me, I would maybe even incorporate like a vehicle mode and just do like a game within a game. But I think that's maybe too ambitious. But I mean, I've seen them do vehicles in this game and animals, so I think there could be some like fun stuff with like reusing Naboo assets and doing like a cool separatist army run, with like how far can you get into the Gungan army's lines to try to break them, or how many shield generators can you take out, and it's based on how many relic separatist units everybody invested, so it incentivizes weird niche factions that normally don't have a place in the game, in the end game meta, in like GAC. So come on, guys, incentivize me to invest in Trench. I don't want to, but make me.
Make me. It's gonna be the ship this year, obviously.
I hope.
I don't know. I think that the simplest way that you could fix it is add in the banner system from Grand Arena, because the banner system sucks for Territory War because it can end up being way too close way too often, and you can kind of throw as many tries as you want without getting punished much. And so I think higher punishments for failure, that type of thing, to make it a little bit more competitive. And then just some better rewards. It would be the simplest way that I could see them fixing Territory War in like a blink of an eye.
Yeah. I think my only concern with like stretching it out or making it slightly different is just the time investment, just because if you get Hell Week where you have GAC and Conquest and TB at the same time, or I can't forget the Ultimate Trifecta of too much content, but there are times in this game where it's like there's too much to do and not enough time to do it. And there's either you're going to sacrifice one of those game modes to just kind of go to the wayside depending on Conquest usually, but yeah, that's my only fear. I do like how TW is just you're in and you're out in a day. One day to set up, one day to take down.
And
it
even
is
then,
nice.
like you start getting into the upper areas of Territory Wars, and you're spending a lot of time in Territory Wars. I played through a Territory War the other day, and I was playing for 2 hours. Like, yeah, it was. I was very heavy offense that day. So.
Yeah. No, totally. But I think that's enough about TW. I already have my mouth's full of salt already. So I think we should move on. I think that's it for Swago. So let's take a moment to talk about General Star Wars. But before that, I think Beaver has something special to share.
Yes, something very, very special. No, I wanted to let you guys know, for those who don't know, if you like my channel already. I am starting a new channel. We are 1 week into it. It is for Raid Shadow Legends. So if that is something that you are interested in trying out, go check out my other channel. Should be really easy to find. It's just Rabbit Beaver Raid Shadow Legends, because no one over there on Raid Shadow Legends has any imagination when they're naming their channels. And so I figured I wouldn't have any imagination myself. Yeah, so very easy to find, but I've been having a good time playing the game, and you know, maybe you will too. So go check out that channel.
I was fearing for my life. I thought we'd have an ad roll coming really quick and like a weird segue. I was fearing for myself. I was like, I'm gonna get sucked into an ad. I'm like, oh. Anyway, more of a joke. Maybe here on the Damn Fine Discussion we could have a funny skit about that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh, like every single skit for like 2 years of like you're looking at a phone in any game and they're like, are they playing Raid Shadow Legends?
Yeah. What are you playing? Oh, it's Raid Shadow Legends. Yeah, just super gimmicky. Yeah. Or like falling over on the couch and you land on your phone, download it or something. Anyway,
yeah.
Memes aside, no, I have a good meme for the Dam today. Here you go, guys. It's the classic. Keep an eye out for that Marvel Strike Force ad coming soon.
Yes, we got sponsorship galore at the moment. So.
Oh yeah, I'm loving it. So Star Wars. Let's finish our topic though. Star Wars. So we mentioned earlier I finished Acolyte recently, finally. And I did start Skeleton Crew, but I'm nowhere near the end. I'm not even in the middle. I just got started, and then I had to kind of put it to the side. And I don't really think Acolyte's worth talking about much. I'm just as disappointed as I thought I'd be.
What'd you think of the lightsaber fight? No?
The best lightsaber fight for me was him still masked and fighting between all the different Jedi, and the whole scene with the bugs, and then him basically just getting pissed off by the bugs. I was just like, man, I know you're not even the main villain, even though you are the main villain, and you're still pretty competent.
Yeah, like that was the glowing part of the show, was just that.
Oh, was that the one you're thinking of? Or
yeah,
which lightsaber fight are you thinking of?
That section is like, you know, episode 4 through 6 are like, they feel like they're written by a different person, choreographed by a different set of people. They're solid, they're good, and they have some interesting stuff to say, and then it goes right back to like, this is not great.
I mean, I liked the murder mystery aspect of it. I liked the idea of this darkness boiling beneath the surface of these people who know they've done something wrong, but they're all running from it in different ways mentally. I liked the idea of it. I liked the way they kind of hid that. The classic twist of each sister becoming the other one was really worn out for me. Even my wife watching it was like, this is so cliche. This is so not well written.
And it was like, it felt kind of out of nowhere too. Like,
oh really? I saw it coming. Like maybe I can't remember how many episodes it was, but
you're right. You could see it coming, but it didn't feel like it felt like what the characters would actually do. Because,
sure.
Like, you know, the evil sister is, you know, very much like, you know, I want my autonomy. I want these things in life. I want to get away. I want to do my own thing. Yeah. And then all of a sudden she's like, yeah, no, I'll go and just be enslaved and questioned. And I no longer have any desires in my life. This is my one desire is to serve my sister. And that's it. And I'm like, this is okay. Yeah.
Or even like the justification for the fire, and then all of a sudden it's okay that she set the fire and still probably killed all those people, though she didn't. But did he actually kill the mom? It's just so vague. It's just so. There was potential. There was potential. And I'm at least happy they gave High Republic a crack. I hope they do more High Republic content. I just think that it's not the direction that people want it to go.
Which is funny. I think it's very funny because A lot of the times when people say like they don't like Andor, they say it because it doesn't have space wizards.
Yeah.
And this was the exact opposite. It was all mystical force stuff. It was all space wizards, and no one liked it. And it just goes to show that it's like Star Wars is not about the space wizards. Star Wars is a universe. It can be anything. And I think that kind of leads into Skeleton Crew. Is it can be anything. Skeleton Crew was very laying in hard with like the pirate theme, you know, very laying in hard with the Goonies theme, and it was so much fun. Like it was like the kind of show that I'd want to watch with my kids, wherever they might be in the U.S. I don't know. With how many dad jokes I make, I'm convinced I have like 7 across the U.S. But like it's just it was so much fun. It wasn't connected to anything else Star Wars. There were no cameos. Like the big complaints that I hear about it are literally just there were no like strong characters from other shows that showed up, and I'm like, yeah, in episode 4 none of them were strong characters because this is their first show, this is their first movie. Like you gotta start somewhere. You know, no one cared about Natalie Portman or Liam Neeson in Star Wars until they were in Star Wars. So yeah, like
because of Qui-Gon, because of who Padme was, not because there's some big name something from somewhere else.
Yeah, like Natalie Portman's start was Star Wars essentially.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen, I think as well, if I remember correctly.
And like, yeah, it's just I don't know. It was so much fun, and it didn't stress itself out like trying to be the Avengers. It was its own self-contained show. It had a fun premise. It had some fun twists. It was very, you know, at times childish, but it was meant to be for kids. And so it's just really fun. And, you know, it has those moments of cheesiness that instead of being like, you know, oh, that was cringy, it's more of like, that was funny. Like, it was just a very fun show.
A show made for its audience.
Yeah.
I guess, you could say. But again, I think one of the beauties of like you look at the Clone Wars cartoons, right? Like it's meant to be a kids show, and it's like very dark content overall, especially in the later seasons. But they realized when their audience changed versus this is a very focused, very narrow thing. But I mean, who doesn't like space pirates? I'm sorry, space pirates are fun. Just like for me, I think the thing I was most excited for just seeing it is I love Jude Law. I can't wait to see what kind of character he is. You know, I know they showed in the teasers of him being like a Jedi, but then I see all this stuff with pirates. So I'm like, I mean, there's going to be twists and turns. I'm excited to see the rest of it, but I'm definitely looking forward to it more so than Acolyte.
And I hope going forward we get more like it, where it's not shows that take themselves super seriously. We see more games like this that don't have to take themselves super seriously. Give me another Super Bombad Racing. Give me an RTS in the Star Wars universe. Just start pumping out things that, like, you know, give projects to people with vision. Let Timothy Zahn write some more Star Wars books in the Star Wars universe. Just like let people do stuff, because like there are people out there that are gonna make stuff that people love, and
a new Kyle Katarn, or like a new new characters that, I mean, it's essentially Cal Kestis. If I'm being honest, I think Cal Kestis is an example of a storyline that just has barely anything to do with anything in modern canon other than an appearance from Boba, and I think a cameo in the first game I can't think of. Inquisitors felt more of a tie into the game than it felt into Obi-Wan Kenobi show, if I'm being honest with you.
And like it's just those, once again, just kind of going back to that point of everyone's no one until they're someone. No one cared about Cal Kestis until the games came out, and now everyone loves Cal Kestis. And so we need to
Rey Skywalker.
Nope.
Sorry.
Well, I think we're gonna move on. I think it's over, guys. I'll see you guys later.
Really though. So to tie into, I think what's one of the most impactful things about, you know, why Star Wars was successful in the first place and why I think it continues to win awards. I think even Outlaws was nominated for music. Let's talk about John Williams and his amazing composing skills. They released a documentary. I know we mentioned it before on DFD. I haven't had the time to watch it. I think Beaver said he got an opinion from someone that saw it recently. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly encourage it. It's on my list of stuff to watch during free time. But,
Yeah, it's from what I understand, it's not anything earth-shattering, but if you don't know like much about John Williams already, it's a really good peek behind the curtain and a really good thing to, you know, learn some information that you didn't know beforehand, because John Williams working together with George Lucas is basically the entire engine of the original Star Wars movies. There's so much involved with the music that caused what we know as Star Wars to be what we know. Another supplemental thing, if you watch the John Williams documentary, I've mentioned this before on this podcast, if you watch the John Williams documentary and you enjoy it and you want to know more, highly suggest the soundtrack show. You can find it anywhere you find podcasts. It's the guy who made the music to Force Unleashed, and he's been working with Lucasfilms for over 20 years, and he breaks down all kinds of soundtracks, and he does a lot on John Williams and Star Wars, and you get to hear like the demo tracks that they used in scenes before they had, you know, John Williams tracks, and what he based his music on for different scenes, and like, oh, here's a song that was never actually played in the movie but is part of the soundtrack because it just didn't fit any of the sequences. And so very cool behind the scenes stuff with that if you want to go farther in depth and you love music like I do. So
it randomly reminds me, I through work, which I will not disclose, actually met someone who composed with John Williams on the sequel trilogy, which was super cool guy to meet.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was such a cool interaction, and I think it just goes to show the power of music and the way, especially in cinema and games to an extent, how they can really make or break how we perceive things, how we enjoy things, and how we feel. You know, it's part of that experience. On that note, there's some game remakes I'm not aware of. I know there's been a lot of re-releases recently. Beaver, you wanna hit me up with some of those?
Yeah, in fact, I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you've ever heard the Bounty Hunter main theme, the game Bounty Hunter, where you play as Jango Fett. Fire main theme. But that is one of the games that was remade. So Aspyr is the company that remade the Battlefront collection and kind of dropped the ball on that one. But they have ported over a couple of the old Star Wars games that are not available on PC or used to be available on PC and is not anymore. And so those three games are Star Wars Racer. If you ever played Racer's Revenge on PS2, this was the PC one before they dropped it on console. And it's not as good as Racer's Revenge in my opinion. I loved Racer's Revenge as a kid. It was so much fun, but it's still a really fun game, and it is the predecessor, so it has a special place in my heart. Additionally, Bounty Hunter, you play as Jango Fett. You're getting tasked with, hey, you know, you're gonna go do this job, and if you do it well, you'll get a very substantial sum. And it's the story of how he becomes the template for the clone army. So very interesting. Voiced by Tamora Morrison, the actor for Jango, and it. Music's great. Story's a lot of fun. A little dated, obviously, but I just picked it up and played it the other day, and I was having a blast. They've changed the controls around to be more friendly to current audience, and you know, nowadays we kind of have a controller scheme that's pretty normal for people nowadays. Like triggers are for firing and that type of stuff. Yeah, it's all standardized now, and so they've taken some time to do that for you. And you also, side fact, if you ever want to know Jango's backstory and how he's connected to the Mandalorians, the collectibles in that game are the comic, like the different pieces of the comic for that. And so you can go look at that comic as you play through the game and find secrets in the game. It's really, really cool. And then the last one is one of my favorite games as a kid. I'm so excited to play this. I'm going to be playing it for our members only streams. It's such a nostalgic game for me, and I haven't played it in literally forever. It's one of my earliest video game memories is playing this game, Jedi Power Battles. It was a PS1 Star Wars game where you play through the events of the Phantom Menace as different members of the Jedi Council. You could play as Adi Gallia, Mace Windu, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So basically you could use characters either from the main cast of Phantom Menace or one of the Jedi Council. Very cool. Way back when, before we had solidified colors for people's lightsabers. So Plo Koon has an orange lightsaber, Mace Windu has a blue lightsaber, all kinds of fun stuff. It was so much fun, so hard though, and I'm very excited to hop back into that game. So I have that downloaded and ready to go.
I heard they added some new characters even.
Yep, they took from the game assets and they made some new characters. Yep, and like some different like different guards and like, you know, criminal syndicate characters that you can play as, because in the original game, if you beat the game with any of the characters in the game, you get another character. So like you beat the game with Obi-Wan, you can play as Queen Amidala. You beat the game with Qui-Gon, you could play as Darth Maul, and so they added even more on top. So I'm very excited to play through that remake and just very, very happy, because I literally was talking like 3 months ago to someone. I was like, I really want this game, and I'd have to find a port for it and like, you know, pirate it, because there's no way to get it at anywhere, and now there is. So I'm happy, very, very happy.
Yeah. And the last piece of general Star Wars news is Andor season 2. We finally have a date. Super excited for this show. April 22nd is when it's been announced. You know, it's funny, we were talking about it earlier. Andor, the best Star Wars show that has nothing to do with force powers. I'm super excited for the season 2. I'm hoping to see maybe some Krennic action. Maybe the original actor will come back and take that role. Maybe they'll have to do a younger version.
They have confirmed that this season will lead up to like Rogue One in the same way that Rogue One leads up to Episode 4.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Seamless. Got it.
And then they've also confirmed that Krennic and K2 will show up in it. There's a couple other ones, I don't remember who though.
That's completely fair. I'm curious to see if anything comes out of the weird defecting, that whole, and the really awkward ISB storyline, because that got the tension in that storyline got borderline creepy.
Oh yeah.
I'm really curious to see like what, if they're gonna do anything with that, if they're just dropping it, or if it like ties into some weird thing that happens that has consequences. We'll see.
Like, he seems a little stalkerish and obsessed, but then he also saves her life and she's kind of fine with it towards the end, and I'm like, okay, this is a little weird. It's a little
cringe. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, I'm excited to see what Cereal Man does. Like, you know,
yes.
Half his scenes he was just sitting there eating cereal. So.
Eating cereal, yeah. It's true. It's true. Oh man. It's such a cool use of like a prequel for a show leading up to this arguably one of the best Star Wars films. At least that's what I think. And man, I would love just a straight up murder mystery for Star Wars that maybe doesn't have anything to do with Force people or not, or even just a bounty hunter smuggler vibe of like tracking down a serial killer or tracking down somebody. They're, you know, that Mando light side bounty hunter vibe, but not Mandalorian.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there that they can do. They used to do, like, you know, back when they did old Star Wars games, there was just 1,000,001, hey, here's an RTS that's a Star Wars game. Here's the first-person shooter that's a Star Wars game. And they're kind of doing that type of stuff. Here's an animated show, animated in the same way as Samurai Jack. And I feel like we need to get back into that type of stuff, because I'd love to see, you know, something silly. Something like, you know, murder mystery does not sound like it would go with Star Wars, but I want to see it. Let's see it.
Yeah. I'm definitely trying to think of like concepts of things that are popular types of like books or plot lines or things that are done in other types of film. Maybe it's even like a force sensitive but never trained person. Like think of like Han Solo. You know, think of somebody that way who could be like a detective. I think that could be really funny or really interesting. Give me that BBC Sherlock Holmes vibe, or even like a I don't know, man. There's so many ideas. I have too many ideas, but guys, leave down in the comments what you think you'd like to see a show based off of.
I'd kill for like that whole like ancient civilization kind of refounding the Jedi kind of thing, where it's like, you know, give us 10,000 years in the future and people are, you know, figuring out they want to refound this ancient order they've heard about, but they don't know what it is or anything, and they're slowly like coming to understand it. Like, give me kind of like a almost Tomb Raider-esque kind of show, rediscovering the Jedi or something. I think that'd be so cool.
I think it'd be pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Even like the foundation of the Jedi Order, maybe. Like the original, because I don't think in new canon that's ever been really discussed in depth. They've really stayed away from that. Anyway, yeah, leave down in the comments what you guys want to see, want to hear. We love hearing about those things. And question of the week. Speaking of shows, who's your favorite Mandalorian or person wearing Mandalorian armor? If you want to be really specific, and include some edge cases. I'll let Beaver. Beaver, who's your favorite?
Oh, it's ever since I was a kid. This was something that really upset me. So started out as Boba, you know, growing up Boba, I really loved Boba. Then I played the Bounty Hunter game, and boy, I loved Jango, and reading the comic with him and his whole story, how he was essentially a foundling and adopted into the Mandalorians, and that whole storyline was just so cool to me. And as a kid reading, you know, you're reading the, you know, Count Dooku talking to someone about Jango and being like, I heard he killed a lot of Jedi that day. How did he do that? And he's like, oh, with his fists. And I'm like, dude, peak. Amazing.
Chad hype. For sure.
Yeah. So I think I have to go with Jango. I've always loved the color scheme. I've always loved his story. So.
For sure. Yeah, and I you know, I don't know if anyone can guess what mine is. You know, I really have to go back and forth. And just the fact that neither of us are mentioning the 2%, I mean, it's really just sad, you know, if you think about it that way. But for me, my favorite Mandalorian has got to be the armor. I think that that strong pillar of community that she represents, the really different look and a different feel that really set the tone of what that offshoot of Mandalorian religion or culture looks like. I think she really epitomized it really well, while also not being an official leader. I think it was this beautiful tightrope that they walked with this character, and in season 2, it just got better and better rather than leaving her behind. And I think she is by far one of my most favorite support characters, while also being important to just the overall storyline of the show. So I got to hand it off to the armor for me. Close second would probably be Vizsla, just because I loved his brashness, and I loved the different vibes. You know, Jon Favreau hiding in plain sight. As
you're talking about Paz, then, right?
Paz Vizsla, yeah,
okay.
Yeah, Paz Vizsla.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't talking about Pre from Clone Wars.
No.
Okay, yeah, dude, yeah. Paz
Vizsla clan is who? Anyway,
yeah,
super interesting. I mean, arguably best non-force, you know, topic kind of faction in the game, in the universe for me. Just a super interesting warrior culture, but you know, I think they need to do more of this. I think I need more of the Mandalorian, just nothing to do with Mandalore or Mandalorians. I want, you know, there's a million other cultures, a million other planets we could be doing right now.
And instead we're stuck in certain areas.
Mando movie. Anyway, I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong. I want now a nature documentary on Kashyyyk, and it just gets more and more unhinged as they all start to die off and lose their minds out in the and they fall into what's it called, the deep dark place of the jungle. I can't remember what it's called right now.
The Shadowlands.
Shadowlands, yeah, and they end up stuck at the Shadowlands, and it all just goes to hell, and it turns into a Jurassic Park, you know, theme by the end of it.
Just like make a show where like none of it actually needs to be coherent, and just there's a whole bunch of like Star Trek red shirts in every episode that died of various flora and fauna as they show off different planets from the Star Wars universe.
Oh, in the found footage style.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be amazing. That would be, and the footage is all found by like a local Wookiee who's like happens to have like the right like hollow pad to like put the recordings in or something, and he's just like, what the heck happened to these people?
Yeah. That'd be so great.
Maybe like pre-Galactic Republic, just to make it not have to worry about any kind of other things going on. Or maybe a Yoda tie-in.
Yeah.
Yoda tie-in could be fun. Anyway, guys, we could talk about this literally for hours. Appreciate you all being here. Appreciate you listening to another damn fine discussion. Moving forward, we are thinking of doing a once a month-ish cadence. So apologies for the slight dry spell, but we are still here. We're still passionate. And we do still love our Mandalorians. So with that, Beaver, got any closing remarks for our dam?
I mean, Mandalorians are freaking sick. I don't know.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, damn fam, I just made that up. You take care, and we will all talk soon. So you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and take care. Adios.
Yeah.